everyone, today I'm excited to walk you through the security chatbot project. This bot is designed to teach about online safety and security in South Africa. Alright, so with how I've composed my project is that I created the imports, which is the system for console operations, like console.write line and console.read line, and then I use the system.media library to play the greeting sound, and it's a simple way to add audio feedback to the bot. And then I used the system threading so that the console can pause for a brief moment after displaying a response and makes the conversation feel more natural. And then I define the cybersecurity chatbot class to encapsulate the bot's functionality. This is where I define the bot's properties and methods. Let me explain why I structured it this way. I used a class to keep the code organized and reusable, and it makes it easier to add more features or modify the existing ones. And then I defined the username variable to store the user's name, and this allows the bot to personalize its interactions. So by the use of the cybersecurity chatbot class, I can keep the code tidy and maintainable. Right, then next off, right, let's look at the start method. So the start method is the entry point of my cybersecurity chatbot. I use this method to initialize the bot and set the tone for the conversation. So here's what I did. So I set the title of the console window to make it clear as to what the application is, in this case, which is the Cybersecurity Awareness Bot South Africa. I cleared the console screen to provide a clean slate for the bot's interaction by using console.clear. Then I called the play voice greeting method to play a greeting sound. Alright, and then I called the display ASCII logo method to display the ASCII logo. I then asked the user's name and stored it in the username variable. Then I called the run chat loop method to start the conversation. Alright, so now let's look at the display ASCII logo. Right, the display ASCII logo method displays the ASCII logo of the bot, and here's what it does. So I set the console text color to green to make the logo stand out. Alright, and then I use the console.reset color to reset the text color to its default value. And then next, and the reason why I use this method is to add some personality to the bot and make the experience more fun. Then let's look at the play voice greeting method. So this plays the greeting sound and the bot starts, and here's what it does. So the sound player, which is called to new player greeting.wav, right? I created a new sound player object and pointed it to the greeting.wav file, and then I called the player method to play the greeting sounds. So yeah, I use this method to add audio feedback to the bot and make the experience more engaging. Alright, then next off, let's go to the show help method. The show help method displays a list of available topics when the user types help, and here's what it does. So I set the console text color to magenta, and then the reset color uh, method is where it resets the console text color to its default value. And this method provides users with a list of topics that they can ask the bot about. And then next off, I skipped the chat loop. Okay, then now next off, the run chat loop method, right, is where the bot continuously listens for user input and responds accordingly. And here's how it works. So I used a while loop to keep the bot running continuously. So here at the first on the console.writeLine username, it displays the prompt with the username, and then the string input console.readline, it reads the user's input and trims it, right? I then check the input for exit for help, and then it commands and responds accordingly. If the input, right, happens to be valid, right, then that is where I decided to call the get detailed response method to generate a response. I then called the display formatted response to display the response, and then I use this method to create a continuous conversation loop with the user. All right. Then let's look at the get detailed response, right? So in this method, this is where I define the bot's knowledge base and generated responses to the user input, and here's how it works. So with the input is equals to input.toLower, it's where the user's input is converted to lowercase, and then the if input dot contains password, it's where the statements are used to check the user's input for specific keywords, and then I returned a relevant response, which is I am fine, thank you, have a blessed day, based on the keyword. All right, and then yeah, okay, all right, and then let's look at the handle invalid input. So this handles the invalid user input. So I set the console text color to red. I displayed the message asking the user to rephrase or type help. All right, and then I use this method to handle cases where the user inputs something that the bot doesn't understand. Then next off, let's go to the display formatted response. All right, the method displays the bot's response in a formatted way, and yeah, so I set the console text color to white, and then I set the text color to cyan, and then the thread.sleep 900, I paused the console for a brief moment. So I used this method to make the bot's responses more visually appealing and easy to read. And then in the program class, this is where I called the object, right? And then I called the object and the method so that it can run the entire program. Thank you for listening to my presentation.